Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make the shirts that you have seen at the beginning of the video. The shirts are right here. They're in the background of the materials. And for the materials, you will need yarn. The yarn that I used for this project, as you can see here, is milk cotton, and I used approximately 6 to 7 balls to complete the pair of shirts. Each ball is 150 yards, and I'll be leaving all the details of the yarn in the description box below. And then you'll also need a pair of scissors. The hook that I'm using for this project is a 4mm crochet hook. You'll also need a darning needle and a measuring tape. This is a must because we're going to take some measurements, and the measurements considered for this particular design are the waistline as well as the hip circumference. And yeah, I think let's jump right in. If you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops, and you can find all the links in the description box below. So let's get started. These shorts are an addition to our already existing Waffle Stitch playlist. I'll be leaving the playlist in the description box below so that you can try other designs that we have tried out using the Waffle Stitch, be it a dress or a skirt or a top. We have all of them in this playlist, so you can give them a try so that you can have matching sets if you wish. All right, so you're going to grab your hook and your yarn, and you're going to make a slip knot. This design is explained in the US terms. Once you make your slip knot, you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. This is going to be our foundation double crochet round. So this is round 1. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the very first chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's our very first foundation double crochet stitch. So we're going to go on to our next stitch. You're going to turn your work to the back. You see that braid there? That's where we're going to place our next foundation double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into the braid at the base, just like that, into both loops. Yarn over, pull through, pull up a loop, sorry. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our second foundation double crochet. And then for the third one, you're going to yarn over, go to the base braid, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's our third foundation double crochet. Now we are going to repeat this until our foundation double crochet round measures our waistline circumference without stretching. We're just going to repeat that same exact process, and for me, I'm going to do a total of 102 stitches, foundation double crochet stitches, 102. But you should make sure whatever number that you go for, you're going to make sure that you have an even multiple of 3. The number of stitches for your foundation double crochet, when you divide it by 3, you should be able to get an even number. For example, as I had mentioned, 102, let's see, 102, which is going to be my foundation double crochet round, divide by 3, I have a total of 34, and you can see that number is an even number. So whatever you choose to do for your foundation double crochet round, make sure when you divide it by 3, you should have an even number after the division. So let me just go ahead and do my 102 foundation double crochet stitches, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. Alright guys, I have my 102 foundation double crochet stitches. You're going to make sure that your round is not twisted, as you can see here. And you can see that if you use this approach, your waist circumference is going to be stretchy as opposed to just making a bare chain. So you're going to bring the two ends of the foundation double crochet round together, and you're going to slip stitch into the very first foundation double crochet, just like this. And then you're going to get your darning needle and you're going to join that part that is separate. So you're going to use the tail at the beginning of your round, and you thread it into the darning needle and close up this opening so that we don't have confusion and so that your work doesn't end up twisting. You can just leave it like this for now. Later on, you'll be able to weave in your ends, but make sure that your work is not twisted, as you can see here. That marks the end of round 1. Now we're going on to round 2, and for round 2, you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. Then you're going to turn your work. This chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. So you're going to go into this stitch here, right here, with a double crochet. So we are working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So after your double crochet here, you're going to go into the next stitch with a front post double crochet. Double crochet once in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of round 1. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. This is going to be the right side of our work, and it's going to be the side that creates the waffle stitch effect, as you'll see later on. So this is the side that's going to create this texture of the waffle stitch. So go all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of round 2. Alright, so we've come to the end of round 2, and as you can see, we've just placed a front post double crochet here. We're going to end our round with a double crochet into the very last stitch, and then you're going to skip over the chain 2 because it doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet of the round, just like that. That marks the end of round 2. We're going on to round 3, and it's going to be worked on the wrong side of the work, the side that doesn't create the waffle stitch effect. If you would wish to know what it creates, the texture at the back of the stitch is going to look something like this. This is not the waffle stitch. The waffle stitch is on the right side of our work, and then the wrong side of our work is going to create a texture like this. So round 3, you're going to start off with a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then turn so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And then the very first stitch, you're going to go in there with a front post double crochet, and then double crochet into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then double crochet into the next, front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then double crochet into the next. So that's the repeat for this round. You're going to go all the way around until you come back to the beginning of the round, and I'll show you what to do next. After this round, we are going to place stitch markers, and we shall be able to start creating our increases in the middle front of the shorts and in the middle back of the shorts. So just go around repeating the pattern of 2 front post double crochets and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. All right, so we're coming to the end of round 3, and I'm placing a double crochet into the next stitch. Now I'll be left with 1 stitch after this double crochet, 1 stitch here, and it will get a front post double crochet into it. So that marks the end of round 3. You're going to go into the top of the very first front post double crochet and make a slip stitch. And that marks the end of round 3. Now round 4 is going to be worked on the right side of our work. So you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. Turn your work like this. And then you're going to introduce your stitch markers. You're going to need 2 stitch markers. The very first stitch marker after turning your work to the right side of your work, right here, this stitch that appears to be a front post double crochet, you're going to mark that stitch. And then remember the number that we got after dividing the number of stitches for our foundation double crochet round by 3. That was 34. Let me use a pen and a paper at this point so that I don't confuse you. Remember, we had a total of 102 foundation double crochets for our sample. We divided that number by 3 and we got a total of 34. So this number, whatever number that you have here, you're going to subtract 2. And then you're going to have a total of 32. Now, this number that you get here, this is our magic number for this round. It's the one that we're going to consider. So the 2 stitches that we have subtracted here are the stitches that are going to get the stitch marker. So we have to have 1 stitch marker on this end and 1 stitch marker on the opposite end. But to determine where the stitch marker is supposed to be placed, we're going to get that 32, which is, and divided by 2, and we are going to get a total of 16. So whatever number that you get here after subtracting 2, you're going to divide it by 2. And then for me, this is 16. And we're going to count a total of 16 front post double crochets, the stitches that appear to be front post double crochets. These are the ones in the line of the waffle stitch. So just to be clear, let's go back and I explain that clearly for those people who may be confused at this point. The number of stitches for the foundation double crochet round, divide that by 3. Remember, we got an even number, and that even number happened to be 34, which is this one. And then that number, subtract 2, which is 32, and then divide it by 2, which is a total of 16. Now for my sample, if I have gotten 16 here, I'm going to count. Remember, I've already placed my stitch marker in this stitch. And we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then into the next, you're going to place a stitch marker. So just like that, we have divided our work equally. Just to be sure, we should be having a total of 16 on this side as well. Let's just cross-check that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 before the stitch marker. So that's how you can figure out the exact middle stitches where to place the stitch markers. Or you can do the crude way of no calculations or eyeballing. You can do whichever suits you, but for me, I want it to be accurate. And after my chain of 2, we are starting round 4, and that is going to be our increase round. So for round 4, you make a chain of 2 and turn your work so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And we are on the side that creates the waffle stitch. So into the very first stitch, you place 1 double crochet and then remove your stitch marker. Where the stitch marker was, we are going to create an increase, and that is that increase is going to create that effect in the middle of the shorts. As you can see here, you can see that increase in the middle line, both at the front and at the back. So after this double crochet here, you're going to go into that stitch that had the stitch marker and place a front post double crochet. Into that very stitch at the back, on top of the stitch, you're going to place 2 double crochets, and then front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous front post double crochet, which is this one. So go back into it with a front post double crochet, and then double crochet 2 times into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets. So you yarn over and go back to this stitch and place your front post double crochet, and then from here you're going to place 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet into the next. So at this point we have created an increase, and then you're going to get your stitch marker and mark the middle front post double crochet. Remember, we have a total of 3 front post double crochets at this point, and you will mark the middle one. And then from here you're going to just go ahead and place 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and a front post double crochet into the next. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, front post double crochet into the next. That's what you're going to repeat until you get to your next stitch marker, which is this one. So one of the sides is going to be the front and the other the back. For me, I prefer to have this tail, the side with the tail. This will be the back side of my work, and then the side without the tail will be the front side of my work, but you can do you. And also I consider this side because the seam line of this short is going to be at the back of my work, so it's better I consider this side. You can see where the seam line is. It's going to be slanting like this, but it blends in so well with the stitch that sometimes it may even be very difficult to locate where the seam line is. So let's get back to our actual piece and continue with our pattern until we get to our next stitch marker. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet into the next stitch. So keep doing this until you get to this second stitch marker, and I'll show you what to do next. Alright guys, we have reached our next stitch marker, and we have double crochet in this one, double crochet in this one. This would have gotten a front post double crochet, but instead we're going to create an increase at this point. So you're going to place a front post double crochet in the stitch that had the stitch marker, place 2 double crochets on top of the stitch that has gotten the front post double crochet. then front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous front post double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets, just like that, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then a front post double crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to get our stitch marker and mark the middle front post double crochet, just like that. And then we're going to go all the way across to the end of our round, repeating our pattern of 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next. Do that until the end of the round, and I'll meet you back and show you how to wind up round 4. This is our increase round, and at this point we have finished increasing at both the increase points of this particular design. One other thing that I wanted to point out, if you have really large hips compared to your waistline circumference, you may even consider placing a marker in the sides of the shorts in order to create more coverage for your hip circumference, but that is totally optional. I don't want to get into that because the shorts will become way wider than I want them to be. That is just a pro tip that you can consider in case you feel like this is not going to create enough coverage for you. So let me go ahead until towards the end of the round, and I'll meet you back after that. All right, so we've come to the end of round 4, which is our increase round, and I'm placing a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and I'm ending my round with a plain double crochet into the very last stitch. And then from here, you're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet of the round, just like that. Now, this marks the end of round 4, which is our increase round. Round 5 is not going to be an increase round. You're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. Make sure you don't remove the stitch markers. From now onwards, we need the stitch markers because these are the ones that are going to let us know where to increase when it comes. All right, so after your chain of 2, you're going to turn your work so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. And you're going to start off with a front post double crochet into the very first stitch. This round is worked on the wrong side of the work. And then you're going to place a double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to repeat that all the way around. And when it comes to the stitches with the stitch markers, I'll show you what to do. We're not going to get rid of the stitch markers because when it comes to the increase rounds, we may lose track of where to increase. So we're going to keep moving them along with the new rounds so that we don't lose track of where to increase. All right, so I'm going to just keep working my pattern until I get close to the stitch marker, and I'll show you what to do when it comes to that part. All right guys, we're coming closer to the stitch marker, and I'm going ahead to just repeat my pattern until I get to that stitch that has the stitch marker. I'm going to remove it and just place a normal double crochet there because we're not creating any increases there, and then replace the stitch marker into the new round at that point, and then go ahead and keep working your pattern of 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next, 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and 1 double crochet into the next. So you can see how the pattern has blended in so well, but also we have placed our stitch marker so that we don't lose track of where to increase on the next round. So we're going to go all the way around, and when it comes to the next stitch marker, you'll do the same exact thing as we've done here at this point, and then finish up your round as usual. So I'll meet you back towards the end of round 5, which is a non-increase round. Alright guys, we're coming to the end of round 5, and I'm placing a double crochet into the next stitch, and we are ending our round with a front post double crochet into the very last stitch. Now from here you're going to make a slip stitch into the top of the very first front post double crochet, and that marks the end of round 5. This is what your shirts should look like right now. They look quite small, but at the end of it all, trust me, this is the same exact approach that I used for my first pair of shirts. So just trust the process. These shirts are going to widen to your hip circumference, and they're going to be super stretchy and very comfortable. Look at that. Look at how the stitch stretches out very beautifully. So at this point, if you feel like your shirts are very small, don't worry about that. That will sort itself out as you go along. So we are done with round 5, and we are going to I'm going to mention the repeat rounds. The repeat rounds are rounds 2 to 5. So I'll be leaving timestamps behind. Make sure you make use of them and follow along accurately. Make sure you follow each and every step from round 2 to 5. So we are repeating a total of 4 rounds: round 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, again and again. And you're going to keep growing your shirts downwards to your crotch area, because once you reach your crotch, then we are going to create a shirts shaping. So at this point, you're going to just repeat rounds 2 to 5. And in my next clip, I will be recommending a number of rounds to do for the different sizes. But for now, just keep repeating rounds 2 to 5 until I come back and show you what to do next. So for your next round, it's not going to be an increase round. So you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and turn your work. And this round is worked on the right side of the work, which creates the waffle stitch effect. So double crochet into the very first stitch, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then this stitch has a stitch marker. We're going to just remove it and place the stitch that would have gone there. So it's a front post double crochet in that stitch, and then replace your stitch marker into that same exact stitch so that you don't lose track of where to create increases. Then from here, you're going to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and a front post double crochet into the next stitch, just like that. So that's the pattern for this round. I don't want to go any further because we already have these rows or rounds explained within the video. I just wanted to begin the round for you. So keep working and growing your pair of shirts, and we shall see in our next clip what we shall be having. Alright guys, I ended up doing a total of 23 rounds for the size medium, and for all the other sizes, just check on the screen. I'll be recommending a number of rounds to do for the different sizes. And so the measurement that I'm taking is right from the top of the shirts until the base, and I have a total of about 8 inches. And we are going to work in increments of 3 rounds for the different sizes, I believe, for 4 rounds actually. So I'll be leaving a number of rounds to do for the different sizes, and you should make sure that you end on a round that's worked on the wrong side of the work. So I've done a total of 23 rounds, and this has been worked at the back of my work, and you can see the seam line. Where you have the seam line, some people may not actually notice it, but the fact that we are the makers of this pair of shirts, we can notice that seam line at the back. And when you turn your shirts to the front, you don't have a seam line. You have a very clean and neat pair of shirts. So once you get your desired number of rounds, or once you get to your crotch, you need to chain one and cut your yarn and then pull through. All right, so what we are going to do right now is separate the legs. This is what we have right now. All right, now we are going to attach our yarn into the middle section. Remember, the increases of this pair of shirts are in the middle of the shirts. So along that line of the increases, you're going to go into that stitch that appears to be a front post. That one there. And you're going to attach your yarn. Now for my size, I'm going to make a chain of 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So for all the other sizes, just look on the screen and see the number of chains that you have to make for yourself. So I have my 20 chains here, and we're going to attach into the middle stitch on the opposite side, so which is this one, the one along that increase line. You're going to slip stitch into that stitch on the opposite side, and you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay, so once you're done with that, we're going to make sure that we are working in the opposite direction of the previous round. Another thing that I forgot to mention is when you place your work like this and you get your measuring tape, make sure from this side to the opposite side can slightly stretch to half your hip circumference. We don't want our shirts to stretch out so much, so just a slight stretch. But if I fully stretch it, it's even going up to 25 inches, but I don't want that. I don't want that look for my shirts. So I'm slightly stretching to 20 inches. And you should make sure when you slightly stretch your pair of shorts, you should have half of your hip circumference. So once you're done with the slip stitch, we are now going to stop increasing. We are now going to you're going to make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So the previous round is going like this. That means we're going to first work on this side. So turn your work. So you can see the previous round is worked like this. So make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So after your slip stitch, you're going to make a chain of 2, just like this. And then we're going to go into that same stitch, which appears to be a front post double crochet. And we're going to make a front post double crochet there. All right, so after your front post double crochet, you're going to go into each of the next 2 stitches with 1 double crochet into each, and then front post double crochet into the next. So the repeat is 2 double crochets and then a front post double crochet. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet. You're going to repeat that all the way around until you get to the chain, and I'll show you what to do from there. All right guys, we are back to our chain, and these are 2 double crochets. Now you're going to go into this stitch in the middle section along that line, and you're going to place a front post double crochet into that stitch before you start working on the chain. Now when it gets to the chain, you're going to just place 1 double crochet in each and every chain. Remember the extension chain that we made? For me, I have a total of 20 chains in between, so I expect to have a total of 20 double crochets in the middle section. So we haven't yet started creating texture here because we are still laying a foundation for our waffle stitch. So I'm going to just cross check to make sure I have a total of 20 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19. I think I skipped a chain. I think this is the chain that I skipped, so I'm going to just go back and place a stitch into that very first chain. I thought it was the slip stitch. Always make sure you cross check to make sure you haven't skipped any stitch. Alright, so I finally have my 20 stitches along the chain, and once you get to this part here, you're going to slip stitch into the very first front post double crochet of the round. So that marks the end of round 1. Round 2, you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. And then you're going to start off with a front post double crochet into the very first stitch, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. So those are 2 front posts and then a double crochet into the next. Then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a double crochet into the next. Front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and double crochet into the next. So do that all the way across the middle chain of your shorts, and this should be on the wrong side of the work. Alright, so we're coming to the end, and I'm placing 2 front posts, 1 in each of the last 2 stitches of the chain, and then a double crochet into the next stitch. So now we are blending our pattern in. So 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a double crochet into the next stitch, just like that. So this has blended in perfectly well with our previous pattern, and you can see how the waffle stitch is being created on the right side of the work. So go all the way around. placing one front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then 1 double crochet into the next. So the stitch that receives a double crochet should be the one that appears to be at the back. You see that stitch there? It receives a double crochet, and then these ones that appear to be at the front get front post double crochets. Alright, so we're coming to the end of the round, and I'm placing my front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, just like that. And then I'll end my round with a double crochet into the last stitch, just like that. Now I'm going to go on top of the first front post double crochet and place a slip stitch. So that marks the end of this round. And then you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work, and into the very first stitch you're going to place a front post double crochet. This should be round 3 on the leg extension. So front post double crochet into the very first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet into the next stitch and 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And that's the repeat for this round. Go all the way around and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. Remember, we are not increasing anymore, so you just keep doing this all the way around until you come back to the beginning of the round, and I'll show you how to wind up. Okay guys, we've come to the end of the round, and I'm placing my last 2 double crochets. So 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 stitches, and then you you slip stitch on top of the first front post double crochet of the round. So we are basically repeating rounds 2 and 3 of the leg extensions until we have the length of the shorts that we want. So I'm going to just keep repeating rounds 2 and 3. I'll leave timestamps for you to follow along, and I'll let you know how many rounds that I'll do for mine in order to get the length that I want. But for now, we're just repeating rounds 2, which is this one, 2, the one on the wrong side, and then 3, the one on the right side. And we grow the leg extension in order to cover the behind part of our body. And yeah, this can be made to any length of your choice. You can turn this into pants if you wish, but for me, this approach, I decided to make booty shorts using it, using the approach. Cute little lounge shorts for this design. So let me go ahead and keep repeating rounds 2 and 3, and I'll be back to show you what I have. Alright guys, I ended up doing a total of 11 rows after the leg split, And you can see we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes plus this row. So that's why I'm saying 11 rows, because each box represents 2 rows or rounds. So 2 rounds, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and this round here. So we have a total of 11 rounds, and you should make sure you end on a round that's worked on the right side of the work, just to complete the box at the base of the project, as you can see here. So this box is complete, and from here you're going to make a chain of 1 once you get the length of the shirts that you want. So the fact that I am still going to create a little waistband at the top of the shirts, I'm not going to make my shirts very long. So you make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. And if we are to take a measurement, just pull through and we shall weave this in later on. So if we are to take a measurement from the top of the shirts all the way to where we've ended, we have a total of about 11 inches right from the top. So we are going to go ahead and work on our second side of the shirts. As you can see here, we have to balance what we've done on this side onto this side. So you're going to grab your yarn and make a slip knot, and we're going to attach our yarn on the opposite side. So on this side, I am going to make sure I'm working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So you're going to attach your yarn here. There's that point in the corner there. Just attach your yarn there, like that. And then we are going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. So we are working on the right side of our shirts, the side with the waffle stitch first. So after your chain of 2, you're going to go into the previous front post double crochet with a front post double crochet. That will be our very first stitch, just like that. And then you're going to go into each of the next 2 stitches with 1 normal double crochet, and then a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're going to repeat that until we get to the leg split. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way to this point, and I'll show you what to do when you get here. So just keep working towards this side until you get to this part here. Alright, so we've made it all the way across, and we've also worked past our seam line. And the fact that we've started our attachment on this side, that means the seam line is going to be here, but that's in the middle of the legs, and the seam line at this point won't be showing at all. So once you get to the leg extension or the middle split of the shorts, once you place your 2 normal double crochets into the last 2 stitches before the chain, you're going to prepare for a front post double crochet, and you're going to go into the stitch with this front post double crochet. You're going to place your front post double crochet there. So go under the stitch and place your front post double crochet, just like that. So from here, you're going to go into each of the 20 or whatever number of chains that you did for the leg split, and you're going to place 1 double crochet into each. So make sure you don't miss any stitch or any chain. And the fact that I had a total of 20 chains in the middle, I'm going to make sure that I have a total of 20 double crochets. So this will create some sort of hole here, which is not nice, but we shall use a darning needle and try to close it up while finishing up our pair of shorts. So this is my 20th chain, and I'm placing my 20th double crochet. So this is what you'll have along this side. And then from here, you're going to slip stitch into the top of the first front post double crochet of the round. And this is what you'll have. So from here, we're going to repeat rounds 2 and 3 of actually no. For the next round, we are going to make a chain of 2, turn your work. And you're going to place 1 front post double crochet into the first stitch, just like we did for round 2 of the leg extension. So after your front post double crochet, you're going to place 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then you're going to, alright guys, after your front post double crochet into the first stitch, you're going to front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next, then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and 1 double crochet into the next. You're going to repeat that all the way across the middle section of the shorts. One front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 normal double crochet into the next stitch. Alright, so we're coming to the end, and we're placing 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, just like that, and then a normal double crochet into the next stitch. So we've made it all the way across the midsection of the shorts, and we're going back to our normal pattern. Front post in each of the next 2 stitches and double crochet into the next. And you're going to do that all the way across until the end of the round. Alright, so we've come to the end of this round, and we are placing a normal double crochet into the very last stitch of the round and slip stitching into the first front post double crochet of the round, just like that. And then you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. Turn your work. So in the very first stitch, you place a front post double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So this is basically round 3 of the leg extension, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and 1 front post double crochet into the next. And that's the repeat all the way around until the end of the round. Okay guys, we've come to the end of round 3 of the leg extension, and after your 2 normal double crochets, you're going to slip stitch on top of the first front post double crochet of the round, just like that, and then make a chain of 2 and turn your work. This is round 4 and it's going to resemble round 2, so we are basically repeating rounds 2 and 3, 2 and 3, until we get the same exact number of rounds that we have for our first leg extension. So as I mentioned earlier on, I did a total of 11 rounds for this side, and I'll do the same exact number of rounds on the second leg hole just to balance what we have on this side, and so that our short is leveled. This is where we are right now. We are trying to fill this gap so that the leg of the short is balanced on both sides. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So you're going to keep working rounds 2 and 3 again and again until you have 11 rounds, or whatever number of rounds that you did for your first side. Yeah. Alright guys, once you balance both legs, you're going to have something that looks like this. You can see how beautiful this pair of shirts has turned out. We have a hole here. I talked about it when we were working on the second side of our leg extension. So once you finish balancing up the legs, you're going to go ahead and get your darning needle and weave in all your tails. You can see the inside of my shirts is really neat and clean, but now we have this space here that we want to close up. So get your darning needle and thread it with a small strand of yarn. So you're going to turn your work onto the back side like this, and make sure you close up a few stitches back and forth so that we can close up that little gap that we can see at the front of our work, because it's at the front of the shirts and it's really unsightly. So I've closed up a few stitches and you can see how it's almost entirely closed up. I'm very sure it wouldn't open up again. It's now looking like it's blended into the pattern, just like any other holes that you can see at different points. So this is okay. You can close it up even more if you wish, but I think this will be my last time, and then I'll weave in the tail. You can even just get the 2 tails and tie a double knot, and then you can cut off the excess yarn. So this is all on the wrong side of the work, and when we turn it onto the right side, we have closed up the gap that was looking funny at the front of the shorts. And this is what we have, guys, so far. We are now going to go onto the upper part of the shorts. I'm in love with these shorts, guys. The shaping is just perfect, perfect, perfect. This is perfection because the color that I chose to use is also flattering the design. So you're going to grab your yarn and your hook, and now we're going to create the waistband of our shorts. So start off with a slip knot, and we're going to single crochet in between the stitches. So in every space after a stitch, actually no, we're going to, oh, we started with the foundation double crochet, so we're not going to first clean up the edge before we do the waistband. We're going to make sure we are on the wrong side, or the back side of our shorts. So I'm trying to locate the back side. Actually, this is the back side because the same line was along this line, but it's almost invisible, which is a great thing when you think about it. So make sure you're on at the back side of your work, and you're going to attach your yarn in any stitch, just like that. And we're going to make a chain of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we want the waistband of our shorts to be 5 stitches thick. So the 6th chain is the turning chain. So go into the 2nd chain from the hook and place a single crochet, and then single crochet all the way back to the body of the shorts. So that should leave you with a total of 5 single crochets all together. So we are done with our 5 single crochets, and then you're going to slip stitch in the next 2 stitches on the body of the shorts, 1 and 2, and then turn your work and single crochet back loop only in each and every stitch of the 5 single crochets from the previous row. Sorry for the noise. 3, 4, and 5. So we've gone into the back loop only of the 5 stitches, and then you're going to make a chain of 1 and turn your work and single crochet back loop only in each of the 5 single crochets from the previous row. Make sure you're working in the back loop only so that we create a ribbed effect for our waistband. Okay, after your 5 single crochet back loops only, slip stitch in each of the next 2 stitches on the body of the shorts, just like that, and turn your work. Skip over the slip stitches and single crochet back loop only in each of the 5 single crochets from the previous row. So that's all that we are going to keep repeating all the way around until we wrap up the waistband of our shorts. Make sure every row has a total of 5 single crochets, or whatever number that you decided to have, whatever number of stitches you decided to have for your waistband, because I know some people may prefer a thicker waistband, but since the shorts are already a bit high, I decided to go for a short one. Another tip that I have to point out is make sure your stitches are not very tight, because we have to go back into them and we have to separate the front loop from the back loop. So if your stitches are quite tight, that won't be possible, or you'll be fidgeting with your stitches and they'll end up not being neat. Your work will end up not being neat. So make sure you have just a good tension for your stitches, good enough for your hook to pass through for your next row. So let me go ahead and finish up the opening of the waistband, and I'll be back to show you what I have. Alright, so when you make it all the way around the waistline opening, you're going to cut your yarn and make a chain of 1 and pull through. The tail that we've left behind is going to help us close up this opening so that we create a round for our waistband ribbing. Use the tail and join the 2 sides together, the 2 sides of the ribbing together. Just like that. And keep joining downwards or upwards depending on where you ended your final row of the ribbing. So now we've closed up this part, as you can see. We're also going to go, you're going to push your yarn to the back side of your work. And you see these holes that are created here. You're going to find a way of joining those spaces so that you can eliminate them. Just weaving your tail while closing up those little spaces that may have surfaced when attaching your yarn. And then at this point, I'm going to just make a double knot with the two tails that I have. If you don't have two tails, then you're going to go ahead and just use your darning needle and weave in your ends. And now you're going to cut off. And this is what our waistband ribbing looks like. When we come to the front, this is what it looks like. Just like that. Now, at this point, you're going to try on your shirts. And the next step is totally optional. We're going to attach an elastic strand in the waistband, but that is optional. If you feel like this is perfectly fitted, because depending on the yarn that you're using, for example, for me, my yarn is stretchy and it bounces back. I can do away with the elastic strand, but I know very well that so many people may find this a little bit wide and may need to do a little adjustment to bring in this fitting or have an elastic sort of waistband. So this is optional. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, then you can do away with it. So you're going to get your elastic strand. All right, so for the elastic strand, I have approximately 20 inches. Your elastic strand should be shorter than your waistline circumference. So for me, I usually consider about 6 inches less than the waistline circumference. And the waistline circumference that I'm considering for this design is 26 inches. And my elastic strand is approximately 20 inches. So I'm going to join it. If your elastic band is a little bit thick, then you're going to just use a sewing needle and join it together to form a round, just like this. And now we're going to go ahead and use our yarn and make a row of single crochets on top of the shorts while attaching the elastic band. So I'm going to start from the back of the shorts, and I'm going to go into any row at the back of the shorts, and from now on I'm going to just start making single crochet stitches in each and every row while working around the elastic strand. As you can see here, I'm going to just hold it along the top of the shorts, and I go into each and every row with one single crochet. Just like this. So I'm going to go all the way around, and if I feel like I'm running out of the elastic strand because it's shorter than the actual circumference of the shorts, I'll be pulling on it so that it can literally go around the shorts comfortably well. But don't over pull. Make sure you don't over pull on it. Just give it a little slight tug as you go around the shorts. That way it will create a very neat and beautiful finish, as well as an elastic final finish for the waistband. So you can see this is what we are trying to create. So as I go along, I'm going to just pull on it slightly, just like that, so that the stitches gather around the elastic strand. And you can see at the back we are also not seeing the elastic strand as much. So keep working your single crochet stitches around the top opening of the shorts until you come back to the beginning of the round. This is the very final round, and it's worked on top of the shorts. So look at that, guys. This is so beautiful. I'm in love with these shirts. I just can't wait to see the final fitting of the shirts because I feel like I already fell in love with these shirts as soon as I started working on them. So yeah, let me just go around and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. Alright guys, we've made it all the way around. We have hidden the elastic strand into the topmost round, and we're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round to finish off this round. From here you're going to make a chain of 1 and get your pair of scissors and cut your yarn, pull through, and then you're going to turn your work to the back side and weave in your ends. You can either use a darning needle, but since I have 2 tails, I'm going to just go ahead and make a triple knot just to secure it perfectly well, and then get my pair of scissors and cut off the excess yarn. And this marks the end. You can see how the top part of our shirts is elastic, as you can see here. And now let's see the final look of our shirts. If you enjoyed this video, by the way, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about this design, and yeah, I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out all the related content to the waffle stitch. All the links will be in the description box below. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.